Hello everybody, I hope you've been doing well. I know it's been a while since I actually sat down to film or to do anything for this channel. And that's not because I didn't have anything to say, I've got plenty to say. It's just because I've been living through a chapter where I think I needed to process. And now that it's mid-July and I've been thinking a lot, especially because it's that time of the year when a lot of people are relocating abroad, either for work or relocating abroad because they are going to study either for their undergrads or for their masters or doctorate degrees. So I thought, well, when I did this, I didn't have anybody tell me this. Starting over in a new country can be a bit of a challenge. No joke. It doesn't matter whether you know people or not. I know for some people it feels like, oh, this is going to be a great clean slate, but sometimes nobody tells you. It can also break you quite silently. So, as many of you know, I moved to London in 2021, right in the middle of a pandemic. That was horrible. And that was obviously after slightly over 10 years of living in China, which I absolutely loved. And when I moved to London, I thought I was ready. I thought I had honestly outgrown my life in China. Well, or so I thought. What I didn't expect though was how hard it would hit me months, probably still years later after living in London. The grief of it all, the identity shift, the silence, the confusion. You just don't realize how much your personality depends on the familiarity. Basically, I have a feeling like my personality is very much tied to my life in China because I feel like that's where I matured as a person. And then there is also that routine that's broken. The familiarity of the places you used to go, the people you used to see, the things you used to eat, your morning routines and everything. The language, it's just all gone suddenly. And so when I landed in London, I thought, well, great, I've always wanted to live in the United Kingdom. And I was like, yeah, now I feel like I can do so much more that I've always wanted to do. Newsflash, I haven't really. So it's reached a point where sometimes I just feel lost. And I think this is something that for many of my friends that I've talked to that live here from other countries, they're kind of on a similar spectrum where everyone just feels lost. And London is a great city to feel lost in both good and bad ways. But in any case, you will feel lost when you move to a new country, to a new city, whether you know people or not. And it's just the most difficult things are like creating a new routine, starting to make new friends, especially if you move in a big city like London, and that's so expensive to go from point A to point B. Life becomes just so hard. But if you understand this way before you land where you're going, you're gonna be fine. You always gonna find a way of dealing with these challenges. The problem is if you don't do any research, if you haven't done any research, then it's gonna be a real struggle. So if you're here, great. You still have time. Read about other people's experiences. If you're just in the process of packing your things and planning your trip, start doing your research now, because I am telling you, you don't want to just land thinking it's going to be great. And then you don't know. Now, in the beginning, you are going to not feel like yourself for a while. And that's because when you're moving to a different environment, you're going to lose your pace, your confidence, especially your rhythm, because suddenly you're the new person. Everywhere you go, you're the newbie in the city. Sometimes people will just notice you and think, oh, there's an outsider. And honestly, sometimes it can be exhausting when you think about it. And it can be off-putting and make you feel like, what am I doing here? But that's only temporary. So again, do your research, start Googling things, start learning about places, areas, what to do, activities to join, and you will just be fine. But remember, getting into the rhythm is not going to be easy, and it's a lot of effort for you to find a new way of doing things and adapting to new ways of doing things. If you're very adaptable, it's going to be easy for you. But if you come here with a mindset like, oh, in my country we don't do this, in my country we don't do that, in my country this is better, in my country that's way better than this, you're not going to survive for a long time. So come here with an open mind, and you will do great. Be adaptable and you'll just be fine, okay? If you do not have friends yet, or if you don't know anybody yet, or you don't have relatives yet, it's gonna feel a bit lonely, and it will feel like a bit like being in a muted group chat, if that makes any sense. You will crave conversations in your own mother tongue. You will crave things that you don't get from people you get to meet here. You're gonna meet people that you have nothing in common with, but you still have to be friends with, because then you just happen to be in the same area, in the same location, in the same activities. But if you're somebody, again, you're open-minded and you're ready to go out and try out new things, then that's the best way to beat loneliness of moving abroad and not feeling alone. If you're an introvert, try to push yourself to go out there and network, and even just go sit in a park if it's a city with parks. Join a cycling group, join, I don't know, a ballet class, join a gym. And that's the only way to sort of start making friends. Otherwise, you're just going to end up being by yourself and not talking to anyone except maybe your co-workers and your classmates, and that's not good. You need to find friends that you will feel close to, people that you can actually relate to, that will make your life easier. And when you do that, when you find those people, they will feel like your own family, and life is going to be so much better with them in it. Another thing, just understand that people back home in most cases won't understand it, the time zones especially. If you've got like a 5-hour difference and they're ahead of you, even worse, they're going to be calling you so early in the morning or texting you so early in the morning, thinking that you are in the same time zone as them. Sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating. Don't feel the pressure to always answer at 5 or 6 in the morning. You need to educate your family members, your friends back home, that there will be a time difference, and before they call you, they need to text you and ask you, are you available? What time is it? Because otherwise, it's gonna drive you crazy. For them, it doesn't really matter what time it is, as long as it's 5 p.m. on their end, it's also 5 p.m. for you. And that is not, sometimes can be a little bit frustrating when you're in the middle of a meeting or in the middle of a class, and I don't know, your mother or your neighbor calls just to say hello, but and it's and you're like, you just roll your eyes and say like, I wish I told them what time it was, or I had bought them a second clock to check and write London time. So before you call me, look at the clock before you press that dial. Okay. Now, this one especially, I would say, is really and extremely important. Understanding the value of the currency. I've always struggled when I moved from Kenya to China, then getting used to the yuan was quite strange. And then moving from China, so I was used to the yuan or renminbi. Moving to London, I think the first 6 months to a year, I overspent because I didn't really understand the value of how much I was spending, whether something was too expensive or too cheap. Half the time I just thought, oh, it's £5. Oh, that's not too bad. Oh, until I started looking at my bank statements and I thought, what am I doing to myself? So understand the value of the currency before you arrive. Start getting into the mindset of using the local currency or converting everything into the local currency of where you're going to live. Otherwise, you're gonna go insane trying to like convert shillings to pounds or I don't know what to dollars. So try to get used to that way in advance, and you'll be just absolutely fine. Guys, I hope These little notes I've given you will help you when you're relocating to your next destination. Congratulations again. And if you have been through this, or if you've experienced any of the things that I've talked about, or if you have any tidbits, if you're already living abroad and you want people to know about, like, I would really appreciate that if you left those comments below, because then if we don't help each other, who's gonna help us, right? Right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Ciao.